guys, welcome back to Lemon Lane Cottage. Today I'm so excited. Spring is officially here and this is our first complete garden tour. So I'm warning you, it's a little bit long. Grab some coffee, something to drink, and enjoy the tour. I went through every single section, not in detail. I will do that in the weeks to come. Just want to have you get kind of an overview as we start into spring, because I really want you to see how the seasons change. I really want you to see how I've thought ahead to make sure that there's something blooming in every season. I will share details in little pockets throughout the week. I also plan on doing some day in the lives because I know some of you have asked to see the inside of the cottage, and I do want to share that with you. We did make a few little tweaks in the kitchen and always changing up things seasonally. After all, this is Lemon Lane Cottage and Garden. So with all of that being said, grab something to drink, take a few notes. If there's anything that I can expand on for you, please let me know. That's what I'm here for. My husband asked, why are you sharing this? Is it because you're like bragging or proud of it? And yes, of course I'm proud of it. It is a lot of work, but it's so much joy. And beyond that, I want to share what I have learned over the years. And if I can encourage anybody to grow some flowers because they're beautiful, to put in something in the ground that can feed your family, to grow some herbs to take care of your body, then that's what I want to do. So let's get this started. Welcome to Lemon Lane Cottage. If you're new around here, we garden in suburban Southern California, Zone 10A. We've been on this property for about 13 years. This is the first full garden tour of 2021. I'm just going to take you on an overview of the entire yard. It's about 1/5 of an acre, which is a decent size for a suburban yard. We have it divided into different sections. I should say I do, because I love all different types of gardening. And each theme represents a different type of gardening, if that makes sense. In my dream world, I would have a couple of acres in a secluded spot with 4 seasons, actually. In Southern California, we really only have perpetual summer. It rarely in the days dips below 50, and sometimes in the summer goes over 105. So that is what I work with. We all have perks and we all have downfalls in where we garden, but the most important thing is that we get out there and we garden. We grow things that we love. We grow things that bring us joy. We grow things that nourish us. So let's go ahead and get started. This section here is dubbed my succulent garden, and I've said it many times before, and I'll link a couple of videos below, but these succulents went in last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. These were all starts that somebody was throwing away. They were literally just someone's trimmings from their gorgeous, extensive succulent garden, and I am not normally a lover of succulents, but I've grown to really appreciate their beauty. There's still a lot of leaves in here. The trees have just finished losing all their leaves. Does still need a good cleanup, but it has just turned out beautiful. It's a very tranquil spot. We normally have the fountain going, but that's a little bit of cleanup that needs to happen a little later in the spring. This next side yard area also went in last year. This whole entire side wall did. This garden has been dubbed the Twilight garden by my grandson, and that is because it gets the last of the daylight sun. These here, the little purple flower, is perennial status. These will grow quite large actually and fill in a lot of the space here. I am a gardener who has to have patience with perennials filling in, and these are all perennials in here. I don't have the luxury of buying huge plants, fully grown, ready to look beautiful in the landscape. This patch of Shasta daisies I grew from seed and actually moved from another section in the garden, so these were also technically free. As we go on down, I have dianthus in here as well, which is also for Southern California perennial. I do lose a couple and have to fill them in every year, but not very many. And then behind that I had some leftover geraniums and a little spot that needed to be filled, so that's what went in here. Plus a few weeds. Early in the season, I still have to catch up on my weeding. Amongst all these lovely weeds is actually some vines that we moved over from a different section. Again, this was going to be my husband's railway garden, but it just logistically was not working out. We did have a couple of Japanese maples that we also moved from another section. You can see we're big on moving. And I do believe that if things aren't working where you have them, move them until you find just the right spot for them. Anyways, we have put a couple of them back here, and we have still one in a pot that needs to be planted. Here in the Windmill garden, I just added some annuals in the front and then some hardy geranium. I also moved some of those Shasta daisies along the edge here. The center section is actually an iris, and I do not know the name. Each of our 4 plots of garden in the center section here has a crepe myrtle anchoring it. Some of them have started to leaf out, and some still are bare. This here is actually our lily of the Nile garden. We also put this in last year. I have a couple of iceberg roses that need new homes. That's why they have not been trimmed back. They will be moved soon. I have citrus all over the garden in pots. This is my lemon tree. This one's about 3 years old. I'm learning as I go with citrus. They grow beautifully in Southern California, but you still need to have some knowledge of watering. And I have found citrus in a pot needs a deep watering once a week. Any more than that and it starts to drop fruit. So just beware of your soil. Don't overwater your citrus. This is actually an orange tree, and it's a blood orange tree, I believe. We've not had it produce fruit because of the aforementioned overwatering, but the bees are loving it right now, and it smells like heaven. All around the garden I've tucked places to sit down. Behind the Windmill garden here I put a couple of rocking chairs, so it's nice just to go out there and hear the fountain, have my morning coffee. Just gives you a different perspective on the garden as well. This section here I have dubbed our Mediterranean garden, and that is because it is filled with rosemary and lavender and these really pretty, ever blooming, it seems, yellow flowers. And I always forget the name. I will post it here. One of the perks of being in Zone 10 is that I don't worry about my herbs. They go year round. This rosemary literally gets hedged down a couple of times a year because it gets too large. I'm hoping by doing these long monthly garden tours you can see all the leaves come in and see the difference a month will make in any garden. This is the newest section of the garden. This is going to be our tropical garden. It has hibiscus and jacona. I'll write the names. It's new for me. And then, of course, I went around the garden to just fill in some holes. That's a hibiscus. It gets dappled morning shade and it loves it back here. We are transitioning into my shade garden. This wall is one of the few areas that's still under construction. We have been working on the backyard seriously for about 3 years with all of the hardscape. As you can see, the foxglove is ready to bloom. I have some hydrangea in here and some columbine, an azalea there in the back. And then actually in the corner, I have a mandevilla vine. And the small foxglove actually are from seed, and I put those in last fall. That is columbine. The grass is actually lemongrass, and I had one big grass. I divided into 3. If it looks like it's struggling, it's because it's just been put in there, but it's supposed to ward off mosquitoes, and we tend to have infestations in this area. That little hutch was an old rabbit hutch, and I think it may be transformed into something else pretty soon, but I'm not going to give that away. Of course, these are our girls. We have 3 chickens. We get about 18 eggs a week from the 3 chickens, which is more than enough for my husband and I and any baking that I want to do. These curtains on the chicken coop are for privacy, for cooling, and for heating. Like I said, we rarely dip under 30. Most of the time our coldest in the winter is in the 30s, maybe low 40s. So the chickens don't really need to go in, but they do like some privacy, and it does keep the wind out because we do get extensive winds. With that, we are entering into the barnyard garden. This plum tree is a semi-dwarf, so I will have to keep on the pruning. It just went in from bare root this year, so I don't expect any plums. This adorable little sign was a gift from an Instagram friend. This gate I actually made myself. If you saw my last video, this was open. I had some leftover lumber and chicken wire, and don't look too closely, but it does function. All of the raised beds that look nice and neat, my husband built. The ones that look thrown together, I threw together. This is one of the nice ones. This has about, I don't know, 30 bulbs of garlic growing, and then I threw some carrots in there. I don't know if they companion well together. I just couldn't stand the soil to be empty. The chickens got in there, and that's why they look a little bit scraggly, but I think they're going to be fine. I have an avocado tree here in a whisking barrel. I put it in last summer, so I don't expect fruit in the next year or so. This is actually the chicken's salad bar. As you can see, it needs to be restocked. This is kind of like an overflow pen for our chickens. And we also have 2 rabbits who are family pets and fertilizer makers. That is Elmo, and back there is Brownie. They sleep in their hutches on the patio at night and just get to come out here and run around and play during the day. They are 2 males, which we didn't know. They were baby bunnies when we got them, so we did have to separate them. But they still love each other, so they can still kiss each other and groom each other. Okay, so on to the barnyard garden. Any of my tomatoes you see in the garden that I grew from seed are still in their pots. I will just set them where they're going to go to let them finish getting a little bit bigger before I actually plant them out. This is our 3rd citrus tree. This is a lime. This is the 2nd year for it. This is my potting bench. My husband built it for me. Has been back here for a while and I've just let it weather. But this year I decided I was going to make this space something that I love. And that little terracotta pot with the solar light in it, it actually works. I think it's kind of charming. You'll see that I skirted this potting bench with painter's cloth, and I did that just to hide the ugliness because, like I said, I want this to be a place I enjoy coming. My husband bought me a beautiful umbrella for back here to give me shade and some lights to hang, so it has a ways to go. This is one of the wonky scrap built planters that I made. It will be for tomatoes and peppers. I have some radishes because it's still cool enough, and some tomatoes I still need a spot for. I did rig up a shade system for it that will kind of protect them because it gets kind of intense afternoon sun here. And there is Jackson, always around. Yes, he just went to the groomers and I can see it looks like he does not like it. This is where I will grow seedlings when it gets warmer and harden off seedlings. I do have a sunroom that I start seeds when it's cooler in the season, but now we are in the 70s into 80s. You can see I utilize a lot of pots to grow things because I have a limited space. This is another one of those planters that I threw together. This says brassicas, lettuces, some chamomile and calendula, plus I threw in 3 cucumber plants. That is bee balm and mint coming back. I have chives. This is our peach tree, and this is a true dwarf, so hopefully I won't have to do that much trimming. This is the second year. I'm going to go ahead and let the flowers hopefully provide us some yummy peaches. You'll see that all in the barnyard garden I have tucked in flowers for the pollinators and for me, for the beauty that, the joy that I get from the beauty of it all. And that is my first tomatillo grown from seed, so wish me luck on that. This planter gets mostly afternoon shade, so I have all of my brassicas in it and some flowers. We'll see. Next month will look totally different. Radishes in there, and in here I have some bush beans I just started from seed. I utilize these grow bags in the barnyard garden because I can tuck them wherever I want to. This is my berry corner. Along this wall I have blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. And the sugar snap peas. I got these in late because the chickens attacked my first batch, but they are producing beautiful purple snap peas. I used to do the green ones, but I could never find them, so I switched to purple. Blueberries are flowering and forming fruit. I have 4 different types, so they will fruit at different times. I have 3 grow bags full of potatoes. And I actually just started a 4th bag just for kind of some succession planting. That is zucchini there. There is brownie. So we're back around to the bunny play area. More blueberries. This is a pumpkin. That is that new potatoes that I just planted. This is our boxwood garden, and in it I plan on planting annuals, just one mass of something. These are snapdragons I started from seed. I can already tell I'm going to have to do a little bit of moving around for some bare spots that some furry dog may have run to catch his ball in. This is going to be our mint and bee balm garden, and yes, I do know it takes over, and I do want it to. It's contained here by sidewalk, so I'm not worried about it running over, but the weeds get so bad in here, I would much rather have bee balm and mint than weeds. This strawberry pot is filled with alpine strawberries, and they're little white berries that are so sweet and delicious. And then I have a row of peppers that I wintered over. So these look a little scraggly because they've been here a year, but I can see they're flowering already, so I expect to get fruit from them. They are jalapenos, Anaheim, poblano, and a couple of sweet bell peppers. Now we're on to my favorite part, the perennial bed. The bed here has been going for about 10 years. It gets changed quite a bit, but a lot of the perennials in here have been here a while, so they're pretty established. That is perennial salvia, comes back for me every year. You can see I have columbine. The roses are just starting to bloom. The Alistair has been in here a couple of years. That little daisy back there is a Santa Barbara daisy or a Mexican daisy, depending on where you get it. And Allison comes up everywhere. You will see everywhere. This is my most established apple tree. I get 2 crops from it every year. I believe it's an Anna. Very delicious apples. I'm going to be better at thinning it out to hopefully get bigger apples this year. And yarrow. Oh, if you've grown yarrow, you know that it is a persistent kind of herb. The little purple flowers are hardy geranium, and I divide it and add it all over the garden. You will see it in quite a few places. I had a few ranunculus come back up this year. I didn't plant any new ones because I missed that window, so I'm glad some came back. That little chrysanthemum will spread itself willy-nilly every year, and it is my true spring indicator. More roses in here. Jupiter's beard. That dill I whack down every year, and it comes back ferociously, and it is in need of a good trim and some time in the dehydrator. The status was started from seed last year, and it just keeps giving, so I keep leaving it. The same with the stalk. This is the 2nd year on this stalk, and it smells heavenly. Moth or butterfly? My grandson says moth, so I don't know. This is our 2nd apple tree. It has yet to fruit for me. It's only been in a couple of years, and it is a late tree to get started. This is all iris. That was a gift from a friend. I just keep spreading it around, and it's just about ready to bloom. I have a clematis back here that I thought was dead, but it looks like it's getting some green leaves, so we're still hopeful. Oregano and parsley and onions. We are actually moving into the potager. This has tons of herbs tucked into it and a few vegetables and a lot of beautiful flowers. There's more of that little chrysanthemum up in the gravel, which my husband is not crazy about, but I love. Parsley, calendula. This is my strawberry patch that we're coming into. It is a couple years old, maybe 3 years old. I add fresh strawberry plants to it every year. I've added some artichoke this year. I have 3 of them. No artichokes yet, but the plants are very young. Nasturtium is covering up all of my onion starts in there, so I'm hoping they'll be fine, but the nasturtium is so beautiful I don't have the heart to move them. Strawberries are coming on. This is where I will have my largest tomatoes, 3 tomato plants back here. They are, like I said, still in their little pots because I like them to get a little bit bigger before I plant them in the garden and to get acclimated to where they will be. I've never had this kind of luck with cabbage, so we are waiting till just the right opportunity. And yes, you see kale and Swiss chard in here as well. That is basil in the black pot, more nasturtium because I couldn't stop it if I wanted to. And then this is just seeds, wildflower seeds of cool flowers that I throw in back in December. So that will change a lot next year. That back there is my Valentine's rose from my husband. It is actually a David Austin, and the name escapes me. That is a plum tree. Oh no, an apricot tree. That apricot tree has been in for a couple years and I see a lot of blossoms on it. So I'm hoping for a decent crop if I can beat out the birds. On the other side of the vegetable section here, I have our herb garden. This is our medicinal herb garden. I have rue and lemon balm and oregano, feverview. Oh, it'll change in the weeks to come and I'll go over it more thoroughly. More alstroemeria here and salvia. There's that hardy geranium. That is a self-seeded borash plant in the gravel. I have some foxglove in here. There's a few iris. I have some actually lettuce mixed in on this section here and more herbs. There's thyme. It's nemesia. A couple of roses, sage, calendula, this is actually my cheater tomato plant. I purchased it as a start with flowers on it back in January, and I thought, what the heck, let's give it a chance, and there it is, ready to give me tomatoes. So that is the first full garden tour of 2021, April edition. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if there's anything you'd like me to cover, anything that I can share in more detail. I love talking gardens, as you can tell. I'm going to be back this week with a day in the life, more gardening, just day-to-day things that I do in maintenance and building and stuff like that. And then I'll be back next Saturday with a tour of one section in detail. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. And as always, thanks for stopping by.